Hey there, how's it going? My name is Nate, for those of you who don't know. I'm the owner-operator of a very new farm called the Rustic Wolf Farm. We're in southern New Hampshire, and I promised a lot of my customers and friends and relatives that I would start making some videos of how our progress is coming along here, what we're doing on the daily. This is our front yard. It's a nice cherry tree, some apple trees, the local maple barn. It's a restaurant right down the road. They're tapping our maple trees, a handful of them around the property. But I'm really glad to be able to get a nice, foothold with a really, really happy local business. A lot of my videos come out of the greenhouse, that high tunnel you see there. It's a 20 by 50 greenhouse, high tunnel, whatever you call it. It's got 2 layers of plastic and a blower that'll inflate the both of them, so you get that ballooned up type appearance. And that got me through the winter, growing greens all winter, which is a really big thing for me. What I grow out of behind me here is probably, I don't know, like about 50 by 150. I'm going to be expanding into this area that I'm walking in right now. This will be our potatoes this year, which we grew only a small amount of last year, but I really loved growing them. They did well here. It's New Hampshire, so it's a little rocky, but we've been dealing with that pretty well. You can see our little rock pile. Where is it? Right there. Those are pulling out, and it's not too bad. This was actually cattle land way back when. So take you for a quick tour. Figured I'd introduce myself. I'm going to be on YouTube as the stay-at-home dad farmer, because that's exactly what I am, which is always good. I'm home most days with my daughter, our daughter, who is, she's turning 5 tomorrow, and she goes to preschool, but only a few hours a day. So she's been my second hand, reluctantly, on her end. But once she's in, school, it'll be going. This is my full-time grind. So, we'll see how our homestead and farm starts to build. This is the high tunnel. A lot of what I do in here is winter greens, salad greens, loose leaf salad greens, head lettuce, in the colder months. And then I try and carry that through, shaded out by tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers. So we'll see how that all comes out. I just planted some peas over along the edge. I don't know if they're actually going to germinate or not, but it's worth a try. Yeah, we shall see. Huh. Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? That was one of those. I have so many peas. Why not plant something? So this is a gable style. You can tell there's an arch and a point at the top. It gives me a lot more clearance on the edges. I'm 6'3", so I can get pretty tight to the edge with my pathways, and you don't have that, the more drastic bend that a hoop style high tunnel has. Here is the blower that I speak of, and this just inflates air in between our 2 layers of plastic, and it makes them billow out a bit. But this thing has saved our life during the winter. I was able to grow all winter, and we're really cold here. Single digits, negatives on the regular, not every day, but regularly. So it's a Rimmel greenhouse. They're local. They're out of Hooksett, New Hampshire. Really, really well-built product. This was like my second biggest investment, second only to the tractor, when we started this little homestead a year ago. And I quit my job to do it, which is pretty stupid at this point in time. But I used to help manage a tree nursery, shrub nursery, and a hardscape yard. As you can tell from my pile of leftover stone and whatnot. And I quit that. It was good. I really like working with plants and landscape plants, but this was my dream for a really long time. So why not do it? So we got a nice little chestnut tree next to me. I don't know if you can see that. It's old, but it's a chestnut tree. It's an awesome tree. Our chickens and goats are over there behind me. They've got roam of this field behind me as well, and I'll take you down there. We have, hop over the electric fence. We have 14 acres here, but 10 of it is heavily wooded with some pathways. Over time, I'm going to be expanding some of that, clearing the mountain laurel out, which is poisonous to our animals, and creating little 1 acre pastures, you know, maybe a year or two at a time, with the ultimate goal to have 6 more 1 acre pastures in our woods going back. Still have 4 wooded, but to be able to rotate, you know, whether we end up doing a few head of beef cattle, or we increase our dairy goat population, which we're actually really fond of. They've got a good amount of land to roam, the goats. So it goes down that hill to the second wall, and they'll be expanding more and more, which is good. I was very reluctant to get goats. I just wanted a cow, some chickens, but you know, that was the compromise. I had taken care of goats at my old job for 5 or 6 years, you know, helped to take care of the goats and the chickens there. So that was kind of a go-to. I already knew what you can mess up and what you shouldn't mess up and all of that good stuff. Take in here real quick. These are the chickens. They're free range. You would call them pastured. I mean, they're out in this pasture usually, but nobody really knows the term pastured as much as they know free range. This is Willow. June, our new lady June behind me. She's pregnant. She's actually Willow's mom. And she's pregnant again. So you can tell she's a little on the bigger side. Ollie, Bowie, Nora, and those are our 5 goats. June's due to kid pretty soon though, in like 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm definitely going to video document that process. There's some raspberries behind me in that bed, and you can't really tell, but the goats and the chickens did an incredible job. Whoa. Both weeding and pruning those raspberries. You know, raspberries are always growing on new growth. I have behind me towards the road, here's my tractor. Behind me towards the road, I've got 40 or more blueberry bushes that I planted last year, and those were already probably 2 to 3 feet, depending on the shrub. Purchased them from my old employer. You can see one of the maple buckets behind me. Purchased them from my old employer because they have the most quality stuff literally anywhere in this entire area, in my opinion. Been working on getting my workbench a little cleaner. A lot of what I do here is DIY stuff too. You know, we put up our greenhouse on our own and did the chicken coop on our own. My dad helps with some things, but a big part to do in the homestead is doing some things you have no idea what you're doing, which is good. This is this year's farm stand that I'm pre-cutting. It's just gonna be small, an 8x8 with a 4-foot porch on the front of it, so we can sit on there with a rocking chair. And for the first time ever, I'm pre-cutting all my boards and actually like taking account of all of the ones that I need, which is really big because I've always just built on the fly, and it comes out really good, but never as good as it should. Because I don't plan things, I just do them, and that's kind of my biggest downfall and my greatest advantage, I guess. I don't know. But I wanted to introduce myself. We're the Rustic Wolf Farm. I'm going to be the stay-at-home dad farmer, so that'll be my YouTube name. And I think it's at the Rustic Wolf Farm. I don't really know YouTube too well, but I'm trying to get off of Facebook because it's just this soul-sucking, negative, terrible app, in my opinion. And it really kills my productivity, as much as I hate to say that, because I post on my farm page. I try to, but we've got a bunch of followers on there. I think we've got like close to 800 followers. And as a new farm that barely sells anything yet, that's a really huge marketing tool that I can't really get rid of, but I'm gonna try and do it through this so I can show people what's being harvested on the weekly, what we're doing. I'd like to show a lot of how we've built this and the methods in which I do things, you know, between taking care of the goats and taking care of the chickens, starting to improve our old pasture land. There used to be cows and horses here. So I'd really like to improve that so we can get a little more sustainable with how we feed the goats and the chickens. I've explored into the high tunnel for a year now, and I think it's the most incredible thing in the world. Everybody that's trying to feed themselves as much as they can should have one, even if it's just kind of small and you're working towards it. That one cost $4,000, but it was an investment that paid itself off during the year, I think. And we had salad greens all winter. There's no downside to that in my opinion. So I hope to talk to you guys soon. I'll post a couple of videos after this. Some were taken like a week or two ago because I've tried to start this journey. I have no idea what I'm doing with video editing. So we'll see how that builds on itself, but I'll try. And, you know, I hope to make a personal connection with some people here, and maybe it, you know, does nothing, and maybe it gets huge, or maybe somewhere in between. I don't care. I've got nobody to talk to around here anyways, so I might as well talk to a camera and look like I'm completely crazy. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Again, March 26th, just getting the start on the season. I'd love to take a journey with YouTube and see where it goes. Thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.